Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I am your host, Jennie Bellinger, the direct sales dom, helping you whip your business into shape. Today, I am here with a LinkedIn expert. I met Brynne through LinkedIn, shocking. And as soon as we connected, we started a conversation and I realized I needed to introduce her to you guys because one of the big questions I get from my clients is how I see her on LinkedIn. How do I use it? How do I do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do it. So I'm so glad, Brynne, that you're here to share this. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about Brynne. Brynne is the LinkedIn whisperer and CEO of Social Sales Link. For over a decade, she has been teaching entrepreneurs, sales teams, and business leaders how to leverage LinkedIn for social selling. As a former sales trainer and personal producer, Brynne adopted all of the traditional sales techniques and adapted them to the new digital world. She guides professionals to establish a thought leader and subject matter expert brand, find and engage the right targeted market, and leverage clients and networking partners for warm introductions into qualified buyers. So welcome to the show, Brynne.
Thanks for having me, Jennie. I'm very excited.
Oh, awesome. So that was a nice, short, easy bio, giving us the snapshot in a nutshell version of Brynne. But Brynne, how did you transfer from being a sales trainer and a great salesperson, a personal producer, into becoming the LinkedIn whisperer?
So great question. I had been in sales and sales training for a long time and started using LinkedIn and recognized very quickly how it could be used as a business development tool, with one major reason that I thought, man, this is the number one tool we should be using, because LinkedIn allows us to search and filter our connections to identify who in our network knows who it is that we'd like to have a conversation with and leverage that relationship to get a warm introduction. And there's not another tool in the world to do that. So when I found that out, and we're going on 14 years now, I recognized that there is not a better sales tool in the world for top of the funnel. So as a sales trainer, and I was a partner in a sales training company, I didn't want to teach overcoming objections anymore. And I certainly didn't want to teach cold calling. Yeah. So I split off from my partner. She gave me a hug and said, when this LinkedIn fad thing is over, come on back. And that was now 8 years later. Here I am with a thriving business solely around using LinkedIn to grow your business.
I love that. And I think it's really nice to see, because it's that one particular benefit, that feature of being able to do that. And to me, for someone who I am a professional networker, anybody who knows me for any amount of time figures out very quickly, I'm the person who loves to connect others. And so I didn't even know you could do that with LinkedIn. And so now I need to have a conversation with Brynne to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
My gosh, that is so cool.
And that for people, particularly in direct sales, is magic, right? Because we go to our clients and we say, who do you know? Or we go to our downline, right? And say, who do you make your list of your top 10.
Yeah.
But they have a top 100 they didn't even realize they had, right? So when you can go in and qualify their connections and bring them a list, it's a game changer, right? And by the way, they can export their connections. and have a list of every single one of their connections. You can make a list on the left-hand side and you could put a P or an R, prospect, recruit, or it may be the same, however you want to do that, and qualify your network pretty quickly and got lots of ways to engage them once you've done that. But, there is no reason to walk up to a stranger in a restaurant now. Maybe the server, but there's no reason to walk up to a stranger anymore. We have a warm network of people and the arms to get to them, right? The pathways to get. It's 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. We're 1 degree to a very full pipeline.
Oh, that is brilliant. Okay, so if any of you were listening to this wondering why you should be using LinkedIn more often, boom, right there. I mean, and I'm sure some of the people are starting to think too, because what also begins to come up for me as I think about this is, what if I don't have a lot of connections? So if I export and I've only got 37 connections on LinkedIn, guess what? You've got 37 names you didn't have 20 minutes ago, peeps.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not even just the 37, it's how many connections do each of those 37 have? But I would also go to the corner of your desk and pull out the business cards with the big rubber bands around them, start going through them and connecting with people. So, as you're out networking, make sure you are connecting with people. Now we're back to live events. Thank you. Right. And let's make sure we're literally I don't even exchange business cards anymore. On the LinkedIn app, if you open the app, there's a little QR code in the top right-hand side of the search bar. You can scan someone's QR code or they can scan yours and connect with them immediately. Put in a little note, great to meet you at the Chamber of Commerce event. Looking forward to following up with you. Right? Put a little note. You can even copy and paste that and use it every single time that you connect with someone that night. You don't have to type it every single time.
Yeah.
And then, at that point, you can really build your connections of people that you've actually met.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked about that being your client or your customer, but how about your networking partner? Jenny, looking forward to coffee with you next week. Feel free to go through my LinkedIn connections and make a list of 20 or 25 people that I know that you might want to meet. We can review the list when we're together and maybe whittle it down to 3 or 4 meaningful introductions. And maybe I can do the same.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay. Because I am also a member of BNI. And so, yeah. So to me, I'm already going. So anybody who's listening right now, I'm sure you guys all just had the same aha light bulb moment I did. And if you didn't, get ready to get your mind blown. Do this with your referral partners.
100% of the time. I teach BNI all the time.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Are you a BNI member too?
I'm a former.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, still, you get it. That's what matters. I was just curious. So no, that is such a great idea to be able to help really provide some value in a meeting instead of just showing up and twiddling your thumbs and going, so why are we meeting? What's going on here? And you won't have to dig as hard if you already come to the meeting with a list of people when you've gone through their LinkedIn list to figure out who you want to meet and say, tell me about so-and-so or,
And your partner, especially in BNI, really appreciates it because they don't have to think every week of who can I refer. You could have a list of 20 people and say, give me 4 a week for the next 5 weeks. Right? I know. It's awesome.
Oh, I already know I'm sharing this episode with all of my entire BNI chapter. I'm gonna be like, guys, I'm about to blow your mind. I know you're not direct sales, doesn't matter. You want to listen to this episode. This is amazing. It's brilliant. Oh my gosh. So, because I do have to say, one thing that I think a lot of BNI members struggle with is, where do I find referrals for other people?
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You just ask people to go look at your LinkedIn and let them find referrals in your own freaking network. Oh, I love this. Love this. Oh, Brynne, you're like one of my new favorite people right now.
Jenny, I appreciate it. It's so easy. It's so effective and it's so underutilized.
Seriously, absolutely. I'm going to be going into my calendar now and putting in very specific LinkedIn time for me because, oh my gosh, I'm going to start digging in my partner's networks.
Well, I'll tell you a really interesting thing, right? So one of the things, and it's hard to do on a podcast, so I'm going to do my best to talk through this.
Sure.
But when you are on LinkedIn, there is a search bar. If you click on the search bar and you hit enter, you click on people and all filters. There's a whole big bar that will come up with lots of filters where you can choose exactly the types of people that you want to meet, right? Mm-hmm. One of them is connections of. So that's where you would type in the name of someone, your first degree. But I would say for this first step, leave that empty. Create all the filters to get your absolute ideal prospect or recruit or whomever it is that you're looking for. And bookmark in Chrome or Edge or whatever you use, bookmark that search. So now you can open that search and all you have to do is type in the person's name and it will take all that criteria and look up their name. You can then make your list, you close it out. The next time you have a networking partner, you go to your bookmark, you open it up, and all you have to do is type in the new person's name that you're connected to. And so all your filters of your ideal prospects are going to be set. You don't have to create it every single time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So everybody pause the episode right now. Go sit at your computer, rewind 1 minute, and go through and follow each of those instructions that Brynne just gave, guys, because that is gold right now. Okay, but before we keep going any further, let's go back to the people who haven't been utilizing LinkedIn very much. What are some of the mistakes that people make when they're on LinkedIn that might have made them think, oh, this isn't worth it, or, this is a waste of my time? Let's get people to stop making those mistakes and start doing these things you're talking about.
Oh, I love that. The very first one is their profile is set up like a resume. Nobody cares, right? So you want to make sure you convert your profile from a resume to a resource. So if you're in direct sales, it should be something around helping hardworking individuals create their own business and work themselves out of a job, right? Right. So now it's like, oh, I'm attracting the people that I want to talk to, right? Yes. That's just an example, right? Then we want to be a resource for them, right? So, maybe it starts with the stat of how many people wish to be an entrepreneur, but have no idea how to get started. What does that look like? What are some choices? You could buy a franchise. You could go into business completely on your own, right? What are some choices? And then one of them, obviously, is working for your organization in your downline where you have all the support of the big business, but you still have all the autonomy of being a business owner, right? Like that best hybrid, right? That's the story. But we tell that story in our about section on LinkedIn. So we're attracting the people that message attracts, right? It's a qualifier. So, that's just a quick example of how to move it from, hear all the things that I've done in my life to getting people to raise their hand and say, this is interesting, I want to learn more. Because our job on LinkedIn is to start the conversation. It's not to close the business or sign the person up. It's to get the conversation. So we have to create that curiosity and teach them something new that gets them thinking differently about their current situation. Because that's how we create the compelling moments that get people to raise their hand and say, this is worth 15-minute call.
Ah, yes.
That's the first thing. So the first mistake is their profile isn't doing that. Mm-hmm. The second and worst mistake is the connect and pitch. And this is the worst. Mm-hmm. Like if you are doing this, stop. Do not send another connect and pitch for as long as you live. Mm-hmm. Because it is doing the exact opposite. Right. So instead of attracting people, they're ickied out. And if they understand what you do, then they think that's what they need to do in order to grow their business. In direct sales, recognize that the way we're recruiting or the way we're selling is the way they see themselves recruiting and selling. So they have to like what you have done in order to want to work with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the way you are introduced to them for the first time is the way they are. If they're attracted to that, they'll be attracted to the business.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I got to stop you there because my audience, many of them have been listening for well over at the point that we're recording this, I have over 83 episodes. Okay.
Wow.
By the time yours comes out, we're going to be pushing 100. Okay. Although I might have to move yours earlier because people need to hear this stuff now. But I'm rarely speechless. And right now I feel like I am based on what you just said. And I want the listener to understand the brilliance of that, which is how you are selling or pitching people needs to be something that people actually enjoy the process of going through, because that's how they see themselves recruiting and or selling if they get into bed with you to do business with you.
Right. And they'll say, "Ooh, that was really cool. I wouldn't mind doing that."
Yes.
Right. That was pretty awesome. I wouldn't mind that. I would love to do something like that. So if you're connecting and pitching and they go, "Oh, I don't want to be that person," you're never going to recruit them.
Yep.
So practice what you teach. Yes. Practice what, a lot of that comes into play. So the connect and pitch is bad. So you talk a lot about networking. LinkedIn is a 24/7 networking event, right? We should not be treating it differently. We would not walk up to someone at a Chamber of Commerce event and I go, "Hey, Jennie, I'm Brynne Tillman. We help people just like you find new opportunities." I would not ever start the conversation that way. So we can't start the conversation that way on LinkedIn because guess what? It's the same Jennie. Yeah. If I met her at a Chamber of Commerce meeting or on LinkedIn, it's the same human being on the other side. So we need to start natural conversations that lead to the solution. We can't lead with the solution. So that's the connect and pitch. We lead with it. We've got to lead to it. It's got to be, and we can talk about natural conversations and there's lots of ways to do that, but we just have to recognize these are not leads, they're people.
Yes.
Right? Like we've got to come from that perspective. So we need to treat the people on the other side of the message the same way we would if they were on the other side of the table. Right? We just got to get in that mindset. Another mistake, even more frequent, but not nearly as damaging, is connect and forget. We all do this, right? That's why I said take inventory. Go in, export your connections, take a look at everyone you're connected to and take inventory. Who should you be working with? Who has changed jobs a lot of times and is probably not happy? Who in your network has, been at the same company and hasn't been promoted for 4 years? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can look at that are triggers that these are people that might be interested in being entrepreneurial or getting out of the hamster wheel or whatever that might be, right? There's lots of triggers. Like if, and when we work with people, we go through that. Like, let's see, is this a trigger of someone that would be good in the business, right? Okay. So connect and pitch, connect and forget. And I would say the last thing, there's probably 10 more, but the last thing I would mention today is random acts of social. I just go on. I like things sometimes. I connect sometimes. Sometimes I share content. Sometimes I don't. Maybe I'll go 2 weeks and not log in. And then I go, why isn't this working? But in the business, if you have any success in the business, and probably if you're going to meetings, whether it's online or in the big rooms, right, where lots of people, like only 5 or 10% are really making any money, right? But if you ask them, what are they doing? They're consistent. It's not magic, right? It's not like, oh, they have the powers and I could never make it the way they made it, or how come they are and I'm not? I could almost guarantee you I have a plan. I'm consistent. I work it like a job, right? And so LinkedIn, you need consistency. You need a plan of attack. You need to know, I'm going to meet with my new recruit today. Here are the things I'm going to do on LinkedIn. Here's what I'm going to teach them to do on LinkedIn. This is how we're going to, right? So just like everything else, we need a plan.
This is brilliant. I absolutely love this, Brynne. Oh my goodness. So as they're going through, so now guys, you've stopped making the mistakes. You have a profile that attracts the people that you want to attract. You are no longer connecting and pitching. And guys, that does not apply just to LinkedIn. Stop doing it on Facebook. Stop doing it on Instagram. Stop doing it on Snapchat, TikTok, all the places. Just stop. If you wouldn't do it in real life, don't do it on social media, but especially not on LinkedIn. The connect and forget, make sure you're connecting and connecting, right? And then those random acts of social. Oh God, being consistent.
Can I add one more?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
One more. Make sure your content is content they want to consume, not what you want to tell them. So a lot of times we're sharing like content that we think is valuable, but they don't. Now, what I have found, especially in this world, polls are exceptional in recruiting. Why? You put out a poll. If you could, around entrepreneur, I'm not doing a good job, but like sure. It could be, what is your dream world look like? I have a 6-figure job at a company. I'm
work for myself.
Right.
Yep.
Or, whatever, you have these polls, those polls are going to qualify for you.
Ooh.
You're going to get votes from people that say, I'd love to be an entrepreneur and be independent. Right. And they vote that, maybe it's, where are you now in your world? I'm happy in my company. That's probably a better one. Where are you now in your world? I'm happy in my company. I love being a solopreneur. I wish I could be an entrepreneur and be independent. Now the I wishes are your prospects.
Boom.
Right? And so that's content. People love to vote. They love give their point of view. They love to click. And a simple poll as content, they want to consume it. It brings quality data into your world, where you can now pursue them the right way without pitching, just, start a conversation with those people. And you'd be surprised at how that content can turn into business.
Oh, that's so smart. Now, the question that comes up for me with that, because the little bit that I know about LinkedIn is that what differentiates it from Facebook, for example, is that when somebody goes and answers my poll, for example, so I put out a poll with some questions, people start voting on it. What LinkedIn does then is, because somebody that I know answered the poll, LinkedIn now puts it on other people's feeds.
Correct.
Right? Because they're connected to somebody who answered the poll.
Correct.
Right? And now suddenly other people start answering the poll, and then it shows up on other people's feeds because they answered right. Yes. So that's how a poll like that could very easily go viral and get you tons of answers from people who don't even know you.
Correct. And you get to know them.
Right. You start connecting with those people. Thanks. Right.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that process. Right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like other things that you could do to make sure that happens faster, by using the right hashtags, by making sure you get it into the inbox of 10 people that will answer, maybe 10 people on your team, right? Whatever that looks like. So the faster people start to answer it, the faster LinkedIn says, wow, this is relevant. We're going to get in front of even more people.
Absolutely. And that's the key, is so many people, and I think this is true on all social media platforms, they put out content of one form or another, a post, a picture, a video, a live or whatever, and they post and pray. And they don't do anything intentional around it to say, hey, Brynne, I just put this poll up on my page here on LinkedIn. Would you do me a favor and go answer the poll, please? or I would consider it a personal favor if you went and answered the poll for me. What can I do for you in return?
Absolutely. And by the way, on LinkedIn, there's a little send button at the bottom of every post. You click send, you type in their name, and it goes right into their inbox.
Look at that. Just made it even easier.
Yeah.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Brynne, I feel like I could talk to you about this forever, but here's what I want to do. What I'd like to do is keep this short, sweet, and simple so people don't feel overwhelmed. And oh my gosh, where do I start? What do I do? Okay. So we're going to stop with the content right now. And we're going to have you back. And we're going to have you back to talk more about this later. But I know that one of the things you also have is you have this wonderful freebie giveaway for the Badass Direct Sales Mastery crew, my BDSM crew, which is a LinkedIn library. So tell us about the LinkedIn library.
Yeah. So it's linkedinlibrary.com, and it is literally a public library of content. It's a culmination of master classes and podcasts. Like, we'll link out to this podcast as well as many other podcasts, right? It's got downloads and checklists, and it's just full of great content. And as a member, it's a membership, it's free. Once a month, we have a coaching call where you come on and ask your questions. And we have premium memberships as well, but linkedinlibrary.com is completely free forever.
Oh my gosh. So linkedinlibrary.com.
That's it.
Wonderful. So BDSM crew, you know how this goes. As long as you're not driving, grab your phone, click on the episode that you're listening to right now, scroll up just a little bit, and the link, so you guys don't even have to type it in, just click the link from the show notes and it will take you directly to the LinkedIn library from Brynne Tillman and the social sales link. Brynne, thank you. I am in so much gratitude for you right now for this content, for this information that is really, it's going to help change the lives of a lot of people. So thank you.
Oh, I hope so. That's what I do it for. It's just, and I'd love to hear from everyone, to reach out, let me know that you heard me here, and let me know your successes and your questions.
And I think I know the answer to this, but how should they connect with you, Brynne?
I think you know the answer. I am on LinkedIn, and that is the best place to connect.
Absolutely. So we will also have Brynne's information, her link directly to LinkedIn right here in the show notes. So make sure you go connect with Brynne. Let her know that you heard her here on the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast, so she knows what we talked about and how to connect with you and help you in that conversation that you start with her. Please don't go pitch her. Please don't go pitch her. Let's practice what we preach and connect and start a conversation, guys. So Brynne, thank you again.
Thank you. This was a whole lot of fun.
Oh, good. So guys, you know how this goes. Make sure you stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.